audio is live. We are now officially live. Yeah, I think we're like broadcasting. Hello. Hi.
Everyone,
Hi.
Hi.
Hey,
Can y'all hear us?
this is Zyziva. This is Zyziva, and we're playing Hedge today, a tabletop RPG. It's by Drake and Navi, and they're in San Antonio, where we all are. So wonderful to be representing local game content. Uh, Definitely a different system. Got a couple d6s to roll. Anyway, I'm Zyziva. I do the Warlock in our Second Sight Agency Sunday game that's coming to a close. Going to be a pusher soon with basically political agenda in the sprawl. So that's what I've got going on. We've got Gyrnos, McHobbit, and Protons today playing characters in Hedge. Gyrnos, do you want to do a quick intro?
Hi. My name is Gyrnos. I normally run these things, so it's a nice treat for me to be playing instead. We are going to be having some background. Nope, no background music. I'm so used to saying that. Uh,
No, we do have art used with permission and credit from Reroll app. So at Reroll Rep on Twitter. And we don't have to give them credit because they're just that cool, but Dungeon Draft for our background map. I like them.
yep. I am going to be playing Unbroken Bastion of the Elderwood. And I just realized that I may not have set up my sound thing quite properly. So, yep, we're just going to turn that off. Yep, don't mind me. I had a lot of stuff going on, and I just now realized that if I have it running for me, it's going to be running for all of y'all, and that's going to be a problem. So sorry, voice mod, not today.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, that could be a problem. Okay, so do you want to
All right, I'm
describe
playing
anything else
Unbroken
about your character?
Bastion of the Elderwood, a massive gray-skinned humanoid wearing armor that looks like an oak tree with one gauntlet that looks like one gauntlet that has several axe blades sticking out of it in place of a hand.
And how about you, McHobbit?
Okay, so this is my first time doing a streaming anything. My background currently is the cover of the Hedge role playing game, so I'm gonna give you that. I am playing. There you go. I'm playing the Briar Brown Torch Warden type. Goes by the name of Thistle. He is not big like Bastion is. He's smaller, short of stature, slight, and made of living briar vines. So kind of brute-like in that he's kind of the vines are kind of twisting and turning on him all the time. Um, in his eye sockets are asynchronous lightning bugs that are just kind of flashing on and off on their own. And he fights with, or he wields a smoldering wand as his weapon.
And Protons, thanks for joining us today on the bonus roll. Would you like to give your intro?
sure. I am playing Mellan, a tiny female with some red hair and red eyes with leathery red skin that was forged from the elements in the hedge.
And
Okay.
oh, go ahead. I was going to just say, in addition to playing Bastion, I'm going to be acting as a stream manager for today. So if anything breaks, it's my fault. And if you say hi in the chat, I will let the others know.
So a little bit about the system. The general antagonist of it is the Fae, which had their own world and worked it, and what's standing between our world and their world is the Hedge. And then all our characters, as we'll soon find out, were once human, warped to help it save our own world from their influence. So we'll go ahead and start with y'all being pulled into the Hedge. Uh, you're going about day-to-day task. Not an easy life. Definitely you'd heard of better times, historic times, times when humans weren't the hunted ones and the lands were your own. But you're pulled away mid-action, and you see a bright, sunny, summery space. It's overgrown, wild, and you see a little boy fighting an invisible monster with a stick. You look down, and your bodies are not what you remember them. They're they're a way that you think of yourselves. Strong people, people who've had to defend yourself and your communities, but not how you think you remember yourself. And the world is yours.
Bastion looms up, maybe a good 7 feet tall. What at first looks to be armor is actually revealed to be a heavy, thick wood that has been fused to his skin. He kind of flexes his hand, feeling the axe blades that ring it shift and alter position. He lifts his other arm to feel the weight of his shield and nods, recognizing his place as the bastion between uh, those who need help and those who wish to hurt them. So we come now to a place that seeks us.
Thistle appears quite quickly, almost at a run. Actually, ramping up to a run. He is glowing, and because of his speed, which is not much, really extremely fast for a person, but for some reason he's leaving streamers behind him of light because he himself is glowing. He's laughing hilariously and jumping around as if he's just learned how to dance. He notices the small boy fighting at something invisible and just stops and stares.
He joins you laughing, but continues striking outwards at this invisible monster in front of him. Protons, how do you handle your transformation?
uh,
Or Mellan.
Mellan walks up very slowly, watches as this other person zooms by, kind of looks at him, a little bit shocked, and climbs up in the nearest tree branch. Looks at this kid fighting an invisible monster and say, "Hey, you! What are you fighting?"
So, you've never found it so easy to climb a tree before. Not only do you seem stronger, more reinforced, but it's almost like the branches move themselves under to where you're grasping and moving. And the little boy looks at you and smiles, and he says, "I'm defending all the things. Are you here to help?" And it's just a bright sunny day. It reminds you of summers and being a kid and fields and times before responsibility, the things that you would want to save for the future.
All the things? Like what?
Well, there's this spot, and he like pokes at it with his stick. It's a little bit tricky because there's not people there, and the people don't think the thing's away anymore. It could use some help.
Uh,
Bastion
come up behind the come up
slowly.
behind the boy and squat down and look over his shoulder to see if I can see what he's seeing.
Okay. Your eyes kind of zoom in, almost like they're readjusting, almost a kaleidoscopic effect. And then where he's pointing with the stick, it's like a miniature bog, but it's not alive and crawling with animals. It's alive and crawling with strange, disjointed creatures that are fiddling with leaves and pulling at things. And then the vision winks out, and he pokes his stick at somewhere else and says, "Well, I think that trouble spot, you can handle it."
Uh-oh.
Where are you going? What?
Bastion kind of follows up along behind. Bear with me, Thistle, and nods slowly to the child. It's like, we go where we are needed.
Yes, they don't belong here. And you've got to drive them out.
In the vision, was it small like a diorama, or was it like I was looking down a tube at something far away?
Like something far away.
Okay.
Are you willing to go drive them out? To take my energy and take this off of me and protect this patch?
I will stand
Melon
before.
will climb down the tree and say, "Sure, why not?"
Thistle looks up at Bastion and does a double take at his size and goes, sure. I mean, sure, yes. We can do that.
I will stand between all who wish harm and those who are innocent.
He spins around for a second and he taps each of you on one shoulder, almost like a knighting ceremony. And then your vision spins again, and you're in a much more mundane place than the last place. You could feel the colors diminishing, the feelings of youth and nostalgia that had overcome you fading, but this energy that you had that makes you different than your prior human selves, that remains with you as you enter a low, marshy, grubby, squishy terrain.
Bastion immediately sinks down like a half an inch into the soft earth, just from his weight. He takes a few steps forward, looks around. You who trespass, come forth and let yourself be seen and judged.
You don't immediately see anything come forward. You don't know how exact the placement was. How would you like to handle it? And I will say this game has different stats: might, sleight, and bright. Might is strength, your constitution basically. Sleight is dexterity or trickery. And bright is your magic or your soul.
Bastion of the Elderwood stands tall and strong, looking out over the area with his gaze sweeping across, looking for um, those who he has been sent to defend against.
Thistle runs around behind Bastion, without even asking, climbs up onto his shoulders,
It's literally like climbing
and
a tree.
yeah, climbs like climbing a tree, leans out to see what he can see. Knowing there's something coming, he stretches out with his wand, and thorns start to form out of the ground in waves going away from them. And I burn one fate and
Melon
cast a
will
tangle of
hide.
thorns.
Mellan will do it.
Melon will hide behind Bastion's leg.
That is easy to do. Okay, and what did you do with the thorns?
The thorns come out of the ground in waves going away, and I'm casting a tangle of thorns onto the ground
Okay.
in waves going away.
Okay, so foes will take harm if they change range bands around you. Uh, I would like y'all to both roll soul for assessing the situation.
Um, Soul is
Slight?
humanity.
I mean,
One sec.
I have might, sleight, bright, health, fate, and humanity.
Sorry, Bright.
Bright? Okay. If I don't have anything under bright, I just roll one, right?
I believe so.
so do you roll one plus whatever you have under that?
You roll however many dice you have, and you keep the highest die. So I have 0 under bright, so I roll 1 die, and I just am stuck with whatever that number is. I rolled a 5.
Okay.
Okay, I got a 3.
Okay. Um. So Bastion, you notice that there is starting to be a bit of the ground squirming out in front of y'all in the furthest range band. And the same is noticed by Thistle, but he does lose his purchase on Bastion while looking around. He's not used to climbing so much like that. Not on non-trees anyway. So you do fall in the mud. No mechanical effect.
Okay.
Bastion gestures off towards where he sees the movement and says, "The storm swells. Prepare for it to come."
And Bastion, you notice that the spot that you're dropped on, dropped near, has a bit of an old broken fence near it. Literally an old boundary of where humans were marking a line.
He looks at the. He's not the brightest person, but he recognizes a barrier and the symbolic nature of this. "I shall stand here, and none shall go past." And then he kind of staggers his stance a little, like he is bracing himself to be impacted by a wave.
So let's go a bit on turn order. We're just going to discuss the mechanics a little bit before we actually dive into it. Just make sure everyone's on the same page. Should have bookmarked some of these pages, but that's okay. Okay, so players all go first. And you can make up to 3 moves, one of each of range band, activating a power, and making one attack with the weapon, or instead interacting with the environment. So movement, power, and either attack or environment.
All right, so
Okay.
since Bastion is pretty big, I'm going to go ahead and say that he's probably going to act last in our turn order. Protons and Thistle can act whichever of y'all wants to act first, or y'all can swap off if y'all want.
I think Protons is the only one that has a slight above 0 among us. So
Oh, I
he's
have slight
probably
1.
actually the most dexterous, not Thistle.
I have slight 1.
Oh, do you?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so Thistle already has Tangle of Thorns active, so they are just now moving into the extreme range band. So y'all are in a close range band with each other. Then there's near, medium, far, and extreme. So they are extreme, and when they move closer, they'll take damage from the thing with your power. But you can see the shapes kind of bend and twist instead of moving with muscle and bone and such as an earth creature. They're almost moving with spirit and whimsy, but one where the body follows rules and laws you cannot understand. Okay, so Mellan, I think you are voted first.
Um,
There are 12 of these creatures. What would you like to do?
I am going to move as close to them as I possibly can while still hiding. And I will begin to have lightning crackling around my fist. Just ready to punch them when they get closer.
Okay, so does that mean activating your power yet, or just getting it ready?
Just getting it ready.
Okay. Yep, and you have a pole arm.
Yes.
So that's close and near range. So if you move one range away from the group, so let's go ahead and do something to note ranges here. I'm going to say anyone and let's see if this will mess up or not. Anyone at this band? I need a brighter color.
Okay, so I'm going to save you a little bit of time in the setup because my next action is going to be use Face Me, which is going to pull all enemies up to 2 range bands towards me.
Yes. Use those thorns.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open our chat here and say, y'all are close. They are, I believe I said 4 range bands away. They are 4 range bands away. Mellan is up 1. And I'm going to put that on messages. And okay, so you've moved forward, you've prepped, no weapon. Is there anything you'd like to do with the environment? It is boggy and marshy, and you've stepped in front of the fence and are putting up a line of defense out into the thistles.
No, not at the moment.
Okay, then I think Thistle is up next.
Okay. Thistle rolls himself up after falling onto the ground into the muck and kind of shakes himself off. He starts going lateral to where Bastion is standing, so he doesn't close range bands. His wand has the precise and quick qualities, so he can hit out to extreme range and split
Okay.
the damage between 2 targets. I'm not sure how to roll to hit targets. I only know that it does 2 damage when he attacks, and I can split that 2 between 2 targets.
Okay, so are you a sleight based or a might based?
I am a bright based. That's
Okay.
why. Whoop! Wand
S-
away.
So, as I understand it, how you need to do this is you describe how you're using the bright energy in your attack
Right.
to make that a bright attack. Because, so if I describe my
I
attacks
will do that
as.
as soon as I
Oh, go ahead,
know how
sir.
to roll the attack.
Oh, you just
So,
roll your number and you take the highest
okay.
number.
If you have a 2 in it, you roll 2 dice and you take the higher. If you have,
Okay.
yeah. So you should have either, or it is it 1, 0, and -1? Let
Ooh,
me
a
double check
2.
that.
It's 210, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 on bright. So he um
Okay. Yeah.
cast,
0 is is disadvantage basically for Hedge.
yeah. So he casts his gaze out to see how many targets he's got, and he pulls out his wand, draws in his power, focuses his energy through the wand, and a thorn zips out of the end of the wand at a single target.
Okay. A
But I
single, it
appear to
doesn't
have missed.
split.
No, I'm
It
not going
wouldn't
to split it.
split.
I'm going to send both points of damage at one target.
Okay. And how much damage would it do when it hits for you?
2.
Okay.
I thought that 2 was it for all melee attacks, um, unless it's augmented
Unless
by
you have a
something.
special thing with
Yeah.
with an enemy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I rolled a 2 is my number, so I'm not sure that I'm going to succeed in this bright
Well, didn't you roll a 3 and a 2?
uh, no, I rolled
Or
a 2d6 keep high. I rolled a 2. The high was a 2.
oh, okay, okay. Yeah, that will miss.
Yes.
And
And then if I
Bastion, is
can
it?
interact
Oh,
with
go ahead.
with the environment, if there's something to duck behind, I want to kind of keep out of sight if I can.
That's kind of what you do with the weapon phase, and you've already
Okay,
got your power active. So,
gotcha.
Bastion, what would you like to do?
Bastion stands and glares at the oncoming forces, unwilling to wait for them to plod their way towards him. He sends out just a wave of radiating, challenging strength as he shouts out, "Come and be judged, you who walk in the places that are unseen!" And will spend a fate to activate Face Me. All enemies advance up to 2 range bands towards me.
Okay. And as you pull them forward with your power, they're dragged across the thorns, and that band dissipates. You feel it's not the end of the presence, but the scouts that were in the area where you were dropped have fallen to the thorns. And you would need to go further inwards to find how and where they broke through.
All right. So, I can still move one, right? And they are one band away from me now?
No, they're gone.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
You dragged him across the thorns. Yeah.
I misunderstood.
His power deals 1 damage per range band
Okay,
that they
and then I just
travel
dragged
it.
them across 2 range bands, so they all took 2 damage. Okay, I get it. Bastion kind of... Very well, then. We are not done here, though. Are we?
I like him. I like you. I like you. You're good. DM question, GM question. Since there's no range to how far the effect says when I put out the thorns, so they just go on into eternity. How far do these go? Do I
I
have
just
to?
did it for your visual sight. I figured
Okay,
that sounded fair for
fair.
today. And if we play a second one, then we'll kind of look into how we want to do that.
So if we move from this point, are the thorns still there, or do I have to do it again?
You would have to do it again.
Okay. All right. I mean, okay.
It was definitely effective.
Bastion,
Hey guys.
Bastion
What's
kind
your
of
name?
smiles. there is a face that can be seen under the helmet, but it's stone-like and wooden. There isn't a lot of expression to it, though a small smile does kind of crop across. I am the unbroken bastion of the Elderwood.
Whoa. What do we call you for short?
If you speak to me, I will know you are talking to me.
Wow. That's cool.
I'd like everyone to go ahead and roll a bright.
And I get to roll 1 die because I at least get to do that.
And if I have a
What do
bright
you
of
have in it?
I have a 0.
2,
Which means you roll 2 and you take the lowest.
Oh, I messed up on the earlier then.
Okay.
Come here, you. I dropped a die. Hold on.
ugh,
Okay, bending over like that is painful when you have bandages on your stomach. Okay. Let's try that again. I should have grabbed my dice box beforehand. Okay, so I rolled a 6 and a 2. So, 2.
Okay. And what about the rest of y'all?
I rolled a 2 and a 1.
my high one was a 2.
Nice!
I'm going to go ahead and make a couple little side rolls. Just to do them on here.
I really like your spear. Is that lightning?
Are you talking to me?
Uh-huh. I mean,
Mhm.
That's
It's
really
very sparkly.
It's pretty.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's not until y'all start advancing, but you do notice strange tokens of leftover energy, things not of your realm, but remnants of them in their realm.
Bastion would approach one of them. He does not move quickly, so there's plenty of time for others to intercept him. But he moves with steady purpose as he approaches some of this remnant energy, and he sort of cocks his head a little to the side and opens his mind to it.
Go ahead and roll right again.
All right, so that was much better. That was another 6 and a 4.
Okay.
I need to figure out how to do this stuff without using bright. So if you'll give me a second while you're talking, I am going to look up a synonym thing.
Okay. So you approach a couple of these bits of energy, and the first one dissipates as you try to reach for it. It's almost like it's feeling your energy and pushing back towards its world. The second one, you reach for it and you feel it replenish your fate, your power that was used.
Bastion looks over the remaining energy. Feed upon the remains of your foes and grow stronger. As he looks over at Thistle and Mellan. Mellan? I will get it by the end of this. Mellan.
Oh, okay. And I'll stick my finger out and touch it.
It doesn't seem to do anything for you. Your energy within your body is full. So it just kind of pushes, and the energy that is from another place kind of just breaks and dissipates as you go for it.
Thistle watching the Bastion. That rat Bastion. The Bastion walks up beside him. Watches him very closely, like he's not sure what he's supposed to be doing here, but this guy looks like he knows what he's doing, so he's going to do that. And sits down in front of this and just kind of focuses his eyes on it and reaches out with his brain to try and touch it.
Okay. You feel it not shy away from you and just form up, but that you'll probably have to reach for it and grab it.
Okay, so I reach out with my hand, both hands together.
Okay. And you regain 1 fate to replenish your power.
Okay. Ooh. It's tingly. I mean, it's tingly.
And I'm going to ask for one more bright roll from everyone.
Okay.
I'm going to do the 2d6s separately this time, just to
Well,
make sure.
I'm in trouble because that is another 6 and a 1. I'm loving that I'm rolling so many 6s. I need to be casting like whatchamacallit, Flaming Hand.
I rolled another 1 and 2.
I got a 5 and a 6 this time. I'll take the 6.
Okay. So I believe that this will have the highest on this one. As you stand up and you survey the area, most of the energy seems to be dissipating as the battle leaves, kind of not really soaking in, but almost warping the air around it to go back to where it's from. Something seems to be still there. It seems more physical than the others.
But this is a feeling, not something that I can actually see?
It's physical, but it's not solid. It's almost like liquid down on the murky ground, sunken where one of them fell.
There's something here on the ground where one of the spirits fell. I'm going to reach out with my mind, wave my wand slowly, and reach out with my mind and see if I can touch it somehow.
It seems like it was poisonous, like it was dangerous, but like it was dangerous to those who hurt the wielder rather than dangerous to you if you reached for it.
Dangerous to who hurt the welder? Is that what you said? The welder. Okay.
I guess wielder would be.
Wielder.
Yeah.
Hmm. It seems dangerous. Maybe poisonous. I think.
It is slightly bubbling. You feel like if you leave it too long, it will probably find its way back.
Okay. I am going to. I can attack. I think near, just not close. Is that right? No, not near. I can attack it close, but not near. Okay, I'm gonna back up into near range instead of close range, and give it a zap.
It doesn't seem to take damage. It seems like it used to be part of something, but that something has already had damage and been pulled apart.
Bastion
Okay.
saw him make that attack, right?
Yeah.
Bastion, seeing Thistle attack something, moves towards where he attacked, crouching down and looking at the area.
And I'm gonna reach out around the area and see if I feel anything else that's like this. That's another part of it.
No, just that one spot. It's kind of sinking in with the water and the flow of the marsh area you're in, but maintaining its own consistency, kind of like oil on top of water.
Does Bastion see it
Bastion.
at this time?
Um, Bastion, I think that that's part of something larger, but I can't feel any of the rest of it around here.
Bastion takes his shield and just rams the end of it into the ground, and as he lets go of it, it looks like wood parting as his arm comes free, and you can see like the actual gray skin under the wood where it was bonded to him. He reaches out his because his other hand is trapped in a wooden club with axes, so he has to disarm his shield. As he reaches out and he touches lightly at the water.
And it pulls around your hand and moves around and covers it. It doesn't seem to be poisoning or harming you.
Hmm.
Bastion will flex his hands like they have left their weapon for us to use. Would you weld it? He looks over at Mellan and Thistle.
It's not that sparkly, so I'm not entirely sure. And I'll walk up and I'll just start poking at it.
Okay, it doesn't seem like it's stuck to him, but you'd have to really scrape it off to take it into your own hand.
Ooh.
It is around his hand.
Melon will grab just a tiny piece, pull it as far as it will seem to stretch, and then let go.
As you try to pull, it's very slippery and it just slips out of your hand, even as you're pulling away.
Bastion, how do you feel?
Feel.
I mean, can you feel it on your hand?
It is on my hand, yes. If you do not wish for it, I will carry it.
You may have it.
Bastion kind of clenches his fist and opens himself up to it, drawing it into his musculature.
And Bastion has his first graft. This is sizzling ichor. And it will let you use lethal poison.
Okay.
And that is, of course, going to only be at close range.
Bastion kind of feels the ichor, almost like sap flowing through him as he puts his arm back in the shield with the wood closing around it. And he closes his eyes as he focuses on almost like it feels like blood is flowing through him until it starts dripping from the tip of his the tip of the 3 axe blades of his blah blah blah. I can't remember the name of it now. Why did I fail myself? Until it starts dripping from the axe blades of his Everwood gauntlet.
And it is incorporated with your gauntlet. You will have to reach out and touch as an attack action, but you can use lethal poison now. It does not cost a power to use a graft.
Okay.
That's a
Can I use that at the same time as my gauntlet? Or is it a separate attack? And I think
Separate
that
attack.
drops my humanity by 1, right?
Yes.
Alrighty. And updated.
Bastion seems more otherworldly even than before. Not the shining energy that you were seeing in the hedge, the nicest memories and best recollections of the humans, but almost something just one pace away, one pace harder to understand. A little more unnatural.
Bastion looks around with a low rumble. We are not done here. We should find our call.
I think that's what the kid wanted us to do. I'm in.
Let's go. He did say all the things.
All the things.
All the things.
All right, let's look for more things.
And Mellan, you suspect that that was not simply hyperbole. There were a lot of things he was fighting. And y'all journey past the thorns that were put down, and those fade as y'all walk past their zone.
Oh,
Does the area stay swampy as we move?
Yes, there's fewer signs of life. There's been an abandoned hunk of metal of some sort that you're familiar with seeing, and back near the fence there were a couple campfire rings, but this seems to be a wilder area as you progress. And as you go a little bit further, it seems like some of the place takes on an unnatural color and scent. Something that is less bog and more being warped to be what a place would be that they would want.
This is a place of power for them. If we set our roots here, they will certainly come. And if we can hold it, we may weaken them some.
is there any sign of movement across anything?
Go ahead and roll your bright for assessing the situation.
Ah, 6.
Okay, cool. Um, the movements that you see are less creatures and things on the horizon and more slow curling of leaves, slow drying of patches of ground, more environmental. You think perhaps if you did something to call attention to yourselves, you would get the desired result.
Okay. Going to raise my wand into the air and just fire off a flaming thorn into the sky.
Okay. You do so, and after a bit, coming from two of the sides, you feel there start to be a surge of energy. This thing that it feels like being around a campfire and watching out and making sure that there's nothing coming, because you now know that there are things in the dark and that you need to watch out for them. That feeling you had as a human, you feel somewhat insulated from it now with this power surging through you, but it feels very akin to that as things start to move inwards.
They're coming. Get yourselves ready. I mean, get yourselves ready. Whatever that means to you.
Bastion stands, stretches, and arches himself, a little cracking of wood as he shifts around. It's like, we will stand together, but allow them to break themselves upon me. Harry them and go guide them, but send them towards me and I shall crush them.
I believe him. You believe him? I believe him. Going to Thistle again doesn't climb up him this time. That didn't end well. He stands next to Bastion and just focuses his attention as widely as he can across the area around him to see if he can see anything coming or hear anything coming.
Go ahead and roll bright one more time. I figure you're going to kind of be their scout.
So 3.
You can't look both ways at once. Would you like to
That's
look
true.
left or right?
Left, across. I'm standing to Bastion's right, so I'm going to look across Bastion in that direction.
Okay. You see forces that look stronger than last time. There's 3. Are they dogs? You're not sure.
I got 3 4-legged bogies at about 10 o'clock.
Once more, we will do what worked before then, when it is time and they are ready. When you are ready.
And something else. Something, it stands almost more human, but you suspect it is not.
It's something on 2 legs too.
Okay, players go first. Who would like to start the round?
Bastion will.
Going to take my
Bastion,
wand and touch the ground, send out another wave of thorns, and burn a fate to cast Tangle of Thorns.
Okay, and their direction? Gotcha. And you're staying at this range band, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Mellan, do you want to go next?
Yeah. How many range bands are they away?
The full one. They're at extreme. So 4 range bands.
All right. I am going to lift my polearm to the sky, look up, and say, I call down the wrath of heavens upon these foes. And I will cast Wrath of Heaven, which does 6 harm divided among targets at any range damage. So
Okay.
To
How
each
do you want
one.
2 for each of the 3 hounds? Because there's 4 targets over there.
Yes.
Okay. So you strike and you hear a howling from that direction, and the figure kind of hunches and glowers. They seem, I don't know, taller than a human.
Uh-oh.
But you have definitely done damage to the hounds. Bastion, what would you like to do?
Bastion reaches into that deep part of himself where there is like a little bit of what was human left and quiets the fear, and then reaches even deeper down into the earth. His legs kind of twining with the ground as roots spring out to hold him stiffly in place, as he once more shouts out to the approaching enemy. Come forth! Break yourself upon the elder wood, and know that the head shall always stand. As he uses face me.
Okay. And that pulls him 2 range bands?
Yep.
Okay. The already damaged hounds are pulled apart across the thorns. The other creature almost dances forward, moving itself in great bounds as it is pulled. And did you have anything else for your turn?
Bastion, seeing the figure that is moving in such a quick and spry manner, he does not lash out or move from his spot, though he does stiffen himself, digging his roots into the earth and preparing for the bracing himself against the coming storm.
Oh, yeah, we have the creators in the chat. Okay, so enemy's turn goes after player's turn. The one thing that you notice is with the success at a cost that you had from the bright, is that you only noticed the attack from one side, but there were 2 sides. And so the creatures that before, much like the other ones, came up, and the shadlings move forwards. It's a word that as you watch them now, unable to fight this round, they move 1 range band closer, and it seems to be a shadow of a fae. Forms you don't know and aren't familiar with, but just their shadows. And they howl for reinforcements, and the number of them doubles from 5 to 10.
Oh,
They're 3 bands away on your right.
okay.
And that is the enemy's turn. We're back to the players.
Okay. Thistle turns and sees these new approaching shadows, and his light dims a little bit. He focuses attention hard on them, digs down deep into the light in his form, pulls it up, and sends the thorns in the opposite direction, making them disappear from behind him on the Bastion's left and out towards the new attackers on the right.
Okay. Your new attackers are 3 range bands away, and they have thorns. And your previous prior attacker is 2 range bands away on the left with no thorns.
Right. And then can I do anything else on the turn? That was to interact with the thing. I can
That
still
was
move, right?
power. That was your power, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have movement and you have weapon.
Okay. I'm going to move directly backwards from where Bastion is, one range band. So my distance from everybody still pretty much stays the same, but my distance between he and I changes.
So did you want to be on the side with the almost humanoid looking one, or the side with the shadows?
I'll say the side with the shadows.
Okay, so you're one closer to them.
Well, they're coming from the right. The other guy's coming from the left. I was just going to move straight back this way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it won't affect your combat rolls with them, though.
No,
Just mechanically, since we're using range
just
bands. Okay,
mechanically, there's distance between the Bastion and I.
okay. And let's go to Mellan. What would you like to do?
Seeing all these enemies approach, I'm going to turn around and look at them, point my spear to the sky, and just say no. And once again, cast the Wrath of Heaven on them, dividing 1 damage among 6 of them.
So you're gonna do 1 damage each to 6 of the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You do that, not fall, but the light seems to really throw them off and damage them. Actually, let's go ahead and have that weapon roll just to see how successful it is. One sec. Go back where I can see the dice.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out what I'm rolling.
Okay, so would you describe the attack that you make as one that is coming from your strength, your speed, or your mystic connection?
That loud no sounded like force of will to me.
Mm-hmm.
I would say you'd be justified in rolling bright for that.
Okay,
Okay.
so what you do is you roll your bright, however many dice you have that, and you keep the highest number on that.
It is a 6.
Okay. So you do quite a bit of damage to them, and I'm going to go ahead and say, with it being a light attack and them being shadows, you do down 2 of them. So need to roll something. Okay, that is there for later. And did you want to do any? That was the power or the weapon? That was the power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything weapon you wanted to do or any range band movement?
Nope. I am going to stay where I am.
Okay. Bastion, I think you're up.
Bastion notices that single figure leaping that survived the first, and he just rips wood and tendons as he lifts himself up and turns to face directly towards that figure, knowing that his allies are dealing with what is behind him, and once more he bellows to the heavens, "Come forth and face what you deserve!" And once more we'll use face me to draw all enemies 2 rain bands closer.
Okay.
So that should drag the shadows through the thorns again.
It does.
And it'll... oh, go ahead.
The shadows dissipate in the thorns, breaking much like before. The champion does not. Champion bends and twists, and as he takes that 2 points, oh god, yeah, as he takes that 2 points of damage, he shares the pain of his wounds, and you do too.
I take harm? All right, let's see here now. When I take harm, I gain a point of anchor. And I can spend anchor to redirect an attack to myself, or I take -1 harm from those attacks. Okay, and that also moved him into my range band, right?
Yes.
Facing towards the champion, which has drawn Bastion's ire, he lifts up his Everwood gauntlet, the three axe blades aligning into a single point directly towards him as he brings it down in a heavy strike across the creature's shoulders.
The creature looked hurt and grief-stricken before the attack. You can hear a keening sound from it. And as you attack it, go ahead and roll your attack.
Might.
Yes.
Double fours.
Okay. So as you do that, with that, you have a success, and you can go ahead and add your damage,
All right.
but also its own power triggers. What is your damage going to be?
I have the heavy ability, or the heavy trait with the Everwood Gauntlet, so it deals an additional harm, so it does 3 points of damage.
Okay. And as you do that, its own ability triggers, and that grief you see on its face, something that is a happy memory to you, you see it shattered and replaced, and reflecting in your mind, you feel the echoes of that trauma, as if the happy thing were instead a tragedy.
Bastion winces and then looks at it and says, "That life is already gone."
Okay, and it will go ahead and attack for its turn. So I'm gonna roll 2 for it. And it misses. It is thrown off by the fact that that which it tries to break apart on you is something that you have already given away. And it stands there looking at you, confused and blank. And it's back to the player's turn.
Thistle whips around with his wand, draws power up from the ground into the wand, and casts Arise Light straight into this being for 3 points of harm. A shining beam of light shoots out of the end of his wand, spearing into the being.
And you finish the strange champion, who his face has almost already been rendered blank, almost a success before a success. So let me go ahead and make a couple rolls here.
Fate.
Okay. Um, Something that looks almost like a blood droplet is in the air where he stands as his body falls and starts crumbling apart.
Bastion looks at that and immediately in combat mode still turns to look behind him. He trusts his allies to have dealt with what was coming up at his backside, but he is not ready to let his guard down in this place of danger as he sweeps the area, trying to rise himself up as high as he can to look as far as possible.
Thistle closes the distance up to Bastion, looking at this blood droplet, and just reaches out and touches it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead and roll a bright.
Let's see. 4 and a 6, so 6.
Okay, and I believe you have something strange about your drops. When you collect health, you gain a point of blaze.
Correct.
So this is a health, and you now have a point of blaze.
Okay.
His energy fled him before the final attack, so as he falls and crumbled, that energy was there, and you have taken it in. It doesn't have the same effect as the liquid you found. It doesn't seem to bind to you.
Blaze is good stuff.
You are the fire that burns within our hearts. And then,
Bastion, are you still wounded?
oh, so I am. And
And
then he
I am
just
going
kind
to.
of turns and he starts walking towards where the bodies were.
Which group?
The shadows, unless someone is going to stop him. Sorry to interrupt.
No, but Mellan will follow suit and try not to get too close to his feet, but just close enough so that she can head in that direction too.
Okay. As the two of y'all head towards the shadows, you see more of that energy amongst the thorns that are still populating the field. It's like it would like to move with the sluggish marsh water, but the thorns are keeping it in place.
Thistle, is this dangerous to us?
Let me take a look. Oh, hang on for a second. I'm going to burn one more fate to heal the Bastion for 3 points. Using a rise light. So he collects up green energy and takes his wand and slowly draws it across the wounds on Bastion, closing them behind the wand's tip. And then takes a look at this thing close up.
And you see that most of... Okay,
2 and a 1.
okay. And you see that most of the energy looks somewhat like before. Some of it looks strange. Maybe Bastion, if he would like to take a look too.
Bastion kind of approaches the energy, opening himself up to it like a tree that's drawing in the light of the sky.
Oh, Mellan, did you go to that same area?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. If you want to go ahead and roll bright to assess the area also, you can.
Hey, another set of double 4s.
A 4 and a 1.
Okay. So, Bastion, you see more of the energy before that seems to have fueled powers. And and Mellan, you see something else. It's one of the bodies is still there, and its tongue is moving independently of it.
Like an inchworm?
Yes.
Sorry, that wasn't to me.
Bastion will drink in the energy, drawing it into himself through his root system.
There's 2 energy and 2 health there.
Bastion will just take one of the energy, then he knows his allies have expended as much, if not more, than he has.
So, Mellan, there is 1 energy and there is 1 very strange shadow tongue.
I'm going to hold my finger out and focus on the energy and just tell it, come here.
You suspect that it can only bond where your own tongue is.
I'm going to get pretty close up to it, kneel down onto the ground, and just lick it.
Okay. You do so,
Yeah.
and it's almost as if your tongue dissolves and is replaced. You have a pointed tongue made out of simply shadow. And when it rolls up in your mouth, if you open your mouth, all people can see is blackness inside. It feels heavier than a normal tongue.
We are as much of what we sacrifice as we are of what we hold on to. And then Bastion will turn and go and check the other side of the field where they were coming from to flank him.
Okay. Does anyone take the remaining power?
I will. Thistle reaches out where Bastion had been standing, and he does not reach out with his root system. He reaches out with his finger, and his finger actually stretches out about a foot to touch it. And then he draws it back in.
Okay, you take that power, and the graft is called Rasping Tongue. And do you go ahead and bond with it?
Yeah, sure, why not?
You feel that the smaller groups that have been coming up on you, have a name altogether. Starvelings. And if you use that instead of a weapon, you could turn one of them to your cause instead of their own. Basically by speaking to them in their own tongue.
Alright.
Okay, on the other side with the dogs, ish, wolves. As you go to see, they are definitely feral looking. They're feral and cold and stars and bleeding black inkiness with white spots. Their paws are turned the wrong way with long fingers, and they have very, very hard and sharp teeth.
Broken and base beasts who think only of feeding. Bastion opens himself up, trying to sense if there's any energy or power left here to wield as a weapon.
And now you've experienced more of the field and what the energy looks like. So I will say that there is one power here, one energy, and some of the fur is glittering like a field of stars. The others, the stars just leak from them in an inky, spotted, mottled field of sky that comes out of their bodies. But one of them, its own fur, is dotted and starred.
Bastion looks over his shoulder at Thistle. The stars themselves are fire of the heavens. Before he takes one of those last little bits of energy, because he uses his powers a lot to do a lot of stuff.
Thistle, without even saying anything this time, comes over to where Bastion is standing and looks at the fallen beasts, stoops down and starts to pet one, almost as if remembering something from his own past that he lost, and just strokes the fur gently on
Do you
it.
pet the starry one or one of the regular ones?
When he notices that one of them is the starry one, he moves over to that one for a closer look. He just scritches it between the ears and closes its eyes.
You suspect that there would be somewhat a cost to pulling this off and using it. For one, the effort it would take, a lot of strength. This does not seem to want to be as separated as the others do. And for another, it seemed to have changed the very way the creature that it was attached to looks. And it seems like anyone that bonded with it would be afflicted.
There's no shame in not taking something onto your back that you cannot carry.
Mm-hmm. Thistle brushes his hand across his cheek in a gesture that would look like somebody wiping a tear if he could cry, and starts to pull at the fur.
Bastion will help.
Then whoever has the highest might score can make the might roll.
I have 2.
I have 1.
That's a 6 and a 5.
Okay. It's not pretty. It might be the grisliest thing, maybe not the most disturbing, but possibly the grisliest thing today. But you pull it off, and it's about the size of a small sheepskin rug, and just looks like a field of glittering stars mapped onto fur.
Bastion is not gentle or soft. There's nothing of that left in him, but he is persistent as he pulls the skin and then lays it on the ground in front of Thistle, looking up at him one more time. Again, there is no shame in not taking up a weight that you cannot carry.
Thistle looks up at him, sideways, frowning, and almost like a defiant teenager, just picks the thing up and throws it over his shoulders, like a cloak.
But by carrying a great weight, we grow great strength.
And Thistle's skin darkens to a deep shade of green, and his hair becomes black with white stars on it. There's something odd about his movements. He would have to try it out to find it out.
Okay. Is there a feeling that there's something different about movement, or does it just feel?
Yeah, it's almost like you're not seeing quite the full spectrum of your own movement when you're making movements around.
Okay. So I'm not following entirely what you're describing. So, like partially transparent, like not following, or just like it's a stutter
Um,
step?
like a stutter step.
Okay.
And
Um,
you could roll Bright to assess the situation to understand it better.
okay. Let me try that. Oh, 3. Okay, he just starts to. He stands in place and just starts to holds his arm out and just spins.
Okay. As you do so, you notice that uh, the rest of you notice that Thistle is blinking a bit as he spins and seems to be going maybe faster than he should be. It's hard to tell. All your bodies are so recently transformed and given over to this energy. He was fast, definitely, when you saw him run earlier. It doesn't quite seem the same, though, and there's just like a skip frame every once in a while.
You will know what to do with it when you need to. And then with that, Bastion will kind of clean his hands, or clean his hand and his axe as much as he can on the watery ground before standing up and looking around. We should not linger long, but we are deeper and closer to what we seek, I feel.
You suspect that the environment, though, is still not what it once was. Here. Is there any action you would like to take to make it more of your own world?
Bastion will wait a moment, watching his allies, seeing if they do anything before he starts to act.
Um, um, was there a humanity cost for the
Yes.
activity? Okay.
Yep, it drops by 1.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just
all
wasn't.
drafts cost 1 humanity.
I wasn't sure if it had gone more than that because you said there would be a larger cost. So I'm just making sure. Okay. So Thistle's gonna climb up on Bastion again to get a good scout around to see if he can see anything else coming.
It doesn't seem like there's anything else coming. It does seem like the strongest area within here is still up ahead, but it also feels like if you leave this area, it's not wholly of one world or the other, and its influence could spread.
Bastion holds still while Thistle climbs him, and after a moment of not quite questioning himself, not quite debate, but more consideration of what happens after, he steps towards this center of the area where he felt that thrum of power, that node of potential, and his feet once more kind of dig into the ground, and the everwood that's bonded to his skin starts to lay down roots and dig deep into the earth as he presses his body into the ground, surging forward at the same time as he looks up at the sky, feeling the wood ripple around himself, trying to plant a part of the everwood that has become a part of him into this place. There was once a land with a bright open sky, and a sun that shone for days and hours on end, where children laughed and played without fear. And by striding in this place, by standing against the tide, we recreate a bit more of that world for those who remain.
Thistle climbs down off of Bastion, seeming to be slightly less mirthful than before. Points off in the direction that he knows that there is more to face. Just says, I think we have to go that way.
Oh, Mellan, is there anything you'd like to do with this area or to follow up on his statement or defense before moving on?
I will nod my head, look around, and then start walking forward.
Y'all do notice that the area where you both used power seems to be a little cleaner than the rest.
Good.
And you move forward and onward.
As Bastion moves forward, once more those roots that he had set down rip and break, but this time a portion of the everwood that he called it remains in the ground where it is and starts kind of swelling and growing upwards, forming something of a tree trunk, but not quite the same. There's no branches reaching off, there's no leaves growing just yet. It's just hard iron wood forming a core. Um, and there's a little circular spot that has been scraped clean, like someone took a knife to it. And on that spot, there's carved just a small heart and the letters J and R.
Go ahead and take off one extra power used for now.
Okay.
And until you've recovered through the hedge, since you've left a bit of yourself here, you temporarily have one less humanity.
Okay.
Thistle watching this, awestruck, comes over to just observe the standing trunk and touch it to see if it feels like wood, like something else, like something in between. And just watches Bastion as he strides away from it.
How does it feel?
It's the texture is rough and hard and craggly and brittle. The stronger something is, the more brittle it is, the easier it is to break. And just under that strong, hard brittleness is a kind of quiet, sad warmth. Like biting into a really bitter piece of chocolate almost.
Reaching up with his smoldering wand, the focusing some of his own humanity into the burning ember at the tip. He reaches up and traces around the carving in the trunk, leaving it lit up eternally. So when he moves away, the light stays in the engraving on the tree.
Okay, go ahead and mark off 1 power used, and the area feels cleansed.
And then falls into step behind him.
Bastion does not stop or slow as he walks, and he doesn't look back. He strides with purpose and determination.
And as y'all go, you see the rent itself. It is, you hear the rent. It's like the tear between the worlds is wailing and keening on its own. And as you draw closer, the parts of the rent pull off and become 3 banshees. They are 2 range bands away from you.
Bastion looks up at them, takes a deep breath, looks over at the 2 people that he's come this far with that he doesn't know that well, but that he knows fights for not what he fights for, but something. They fight for something, and that's enough for him as he trusts them.
Well, players go first. What would y'all like to do? There's 2 range bands away, and the keening of the portal rips into 3 embodied forces. You think if you accidentally got between any of them, it would be possible to end up in the other place.
The other place? What's beyond the rent?
As the rent is now 3 creatures, you really can't see into it.
Okay.
But the
That's the feeling.
embodiment of the rent is that if you got between any of these 3 creatures, you would be transported possibly to wherever they came from.
Does that sound like a bad idea?
Well, it is not your world.
Okay.
This is the hungry maw that gnaws at our life and our home.
The keening is, it takes away some of the energy around it, and the energy from between them moves in to fill the gap. Hungry, like it's what has been unmade, it is eating the fragments of and taking their place. Okay, who would like to go first of the players?
Okay, Thistle pulls out his wand. He never puts it away. He just lifts it up. Again, reaching into the light, whatever light there is around him, pulling it into himself. It intensifies along his arm and into the wand, and a beam of light shoots hard out the end of the wand and into the center of the three creatures for 3 points of harm as he casts Arise Light into the beings and burning another fate.
Okay. You feel like it somewhat disrupts their portal a little bit too at first, and then it does less damage because the portal eats up some of the energy. You know it did damage and affected them,
Hmm.
but the very nature of the thing breaking apart the elements of this realm caused it to eat some of the energy. Would you
And
like to move or do any weapon attacks?
I would like to move and then do a weapon attack.
Okay.
Okay, so again, I'm going to test this speed out a little bit, and I'm going to run as hard as I can, again, laterally to my compatriots, so that I'm not getting closer to my enemies, and just as far as I can in one movement, and then hit again the center one with a shot of light and thorn from the wand.
In this case, you will actually, since they are fairly close to y'all, you will actually be moving one range band away from them, but
Okay.
two from your companions.
Okay. Good, and that puts them in range where I can actually hit them with the wand.
Okay, yeah, they are now three range bands away from you.
Okay. So 4 is my hit.
You hit, but your energy is stuttering in and out a little bit. And as you hit their energy with your energy, you see yourself there for just a moment. This place that is all ordered in their own way. It's like every section of it is separated and ordered and defined, and then every subsection of that almost in a fractal pattern. And until one of your companions pulls you out of it, you are lost in watching the patterns.
Okay.
What would y'all like to do?
I will move one range band forward.
Okay. You're now one range band away from them.
Lift my pole arm to the air and start swirling it. The sky will become dark and it will start raining. Suddenly, a flash of lightning will hit the enemy in the middle for 3 harm.
Okay. And that enemy is gone.
So,
So as there are no longer 3 points to anchor this rift, you can see a sharp, jagged crack just running between the two banshees. And the sound is more grating and loud as the edges squirm against each other. That was power or weapon? Okay.
power.
Okay, you're one range band away. Are you able to use your weapon from there?
Is one band away considered near?
It is close, near, far, and then extreme, I believe.
Yeah, so it would be near.
Alright, I will take my pole arm and I will hit the one to the left.
Okay, go ahead and roll for that.
It is a 1.
Okay, you do not. And the keening is getting really loud. There's, the weapon doesn't shatter, but there's a crack among the blades. You suspect if you used your weapon any more this round of combat, you could risk losing it. And I think that's movement, weapon, and power for you. Bastion, would you like to go?
Bastion moves his position as much as he can, even if he has to move a range band, so that he is standing between the Banshees and Thistle. So the only thing Thistle can see is his broad, strong back.
You can barely see Thistle. It's very ghost-like.
He sighs in concern, moves so that Thistle can see his back and not the Banshees, and then turns to face them and draws on that power that he uses so often because they're so close, to shout to them, "You have eaten enough!" And uses face me to draw them 2 range bands towards himself.
Okay. As you do that, you actually draw them past Mellan. So the portal briefly flickers over Mellan, and then you do not see her on the field. They are now standing right in front of you.
Bastion curses himself for not realizing what would happen. And, well, wait, would that count as an attack?
That would be your power use, I believe, right?
No, I mean, what they did to Mellan.
No, that's the effect of dragging the portal.
Okay.
So you suspect that you need to get the portal back over there now.
He growls in frustration and lets go of both his shield and his gauntlet, casting them to the side, and then reaches out trying to grasp both of their throats.
Go ahead and make a might, but I'm going to have you do 1 single dice for each of them.
1 die for each?
Mhm.
Okay.
Double force.
So that's a 1, and that's a 4.
So you have one of them. You suspect if you can draw the line across where she was, you'll be able to get her back.
Okay. When I shifted position to try and block Thistle's view, did that use my movement?
Yes.
Okay. That's power, movement, and attack then, so I'm out of stuff to do.
Okay, so their turn.
Did not think that through.
They will try to blast you apart. They have sonic attacks. So I'm going to go ahead and roll for it though.
So, since I cast my weapon to the side, do I no longer get the benefit of the defending?
Yeah, until you take it back up. Yes.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, so both of them hit, but with the disadvantage. So I'm going to say that you can get your hands on the other one, but you take 4 points of harm, 2 from each of them.
I'll take that deal. As Bastion is torn into from the sound, more of the wood falling away, revealing his gray skin underneath. He reaches out and grabs the throat of the other one and just.
And we are back to player turns. You two can see each other.
Bastion is, for the first time, going to act before observing what his friends do, and move forward a range band, pushing them with him, hopefully.
Okay, I believe that puts you just one away from Mellan.
Mm-hmm. He
Um,
Go ahead. No, I want to hear what you have to say.
well, this is for them, so if you're acting first, go ahead.
He is not there quite yet. He hasn't fixed this mistake that he's made. He looks at them and growls, it's like, "You will not take her again," and pushes them as hard as he can.
Is that one of the powers or just his physical move that he
That's
wants to
just
make?
his, in substitution of his attack.
Okay. That would be environmental. Go ahead and roll. You're going to need a 5 or a 6 with might to push one of them as far as she is.
That is a 3 and a 5.
Okay. So the two of you see each other there in this weird, twisted, complicated realm that it's almost like when you dream math in your sleep and nothing quite adds up, but you know there's a rhyme to it and your brain struggles to follow along. And then Mellan's gone
That's great.
and back with them. So what would you like to do, Mellan?
Do I still have my power use?
Oh, sure.
He looks at Mellan. "I'm sorry." And then he looks at the two banshees and just and activates break yourself. So anything that all attacks, I take -1 harm from all attacks until my next turn, and all resisted harm I divide as I see fit at the beginning of my next turn.
Okay. Mellan, what would you like to do? You're back in the realm. It's like waking up from a nightmare though, and you seem a little out of sorts, but you know what's going on. It might have felt longer, but it was only a few seconds.
That place, it was terrible. I'm going to bunch up my hand into a fist, lightning crackling around it. I am going to hit the nearest banshee with it, dealing 2 harm, and then I will move back the space.
Okay. You take the banshee out, and the energy between them crackles and backlashes, and the other one is pushed back into the other realm. There is your companion, though. You suspect you need to get him out very, very fast from his ghostly state and bring him back here. What would you like to do?
I am going to run over to him and just start shaking him.
Okay, so he is 2 range bands away, so you can get 1 range band closer. So you and Bastion are currently on the same range band.
Okay.
And you are 1 away, Thistle? You saw her for a moment. She was there with you. What do you want to do? You saw her and then she was gone. And then there's this crackle and blast, and 2 range bands away in front of you, there's a banshee.
Oh my.
But you suspect you could make a run for the area where you saw her, but it would put you 1 range band away from the banshee if you did so.
Okay, I'm going to take my movement and run to the exact spot I thought I saw Mellan, and just like arms out, try and grab her like like from my life, and try to just hold on to something for my life.
Roll bright.
Okay. Uh, 5.
Sorry. You grab her. You grab both of them. They're in the same range band. You grab at reality, and then you find yourself not needing to grab any of the above as you are all pulled back together. You suspect this is some layer not of your world. You don't see the boy this time. This time there's a grandmother and she's baking. It smells fresh. It smells exotic, like spices and things that maybe they're names you've heard on packages, but they're things you have not had in your life. And she looks over at you and she's like, "Is it done, dearies? Are they gone?"
Hey, I reach out with my feelings and reach out and just around myself to see if it feels cleansed like it did when I added the light to the trunk.
Can't even feel that area anymore. You've been pulled to this place in between. It
I,
feels all of your own earth, but on maybe another layer.
and I say, I think so.
Bastion looks at her. Can I go back now?
I think that would be a good idea. Does Bastion remember what back looks like?
A little bit. There's. He remembers a rounded stone set in earth with writing on it that he can't really remember anymore.
He has a chance to see it again as the first one to request to go back. Things seem to spin and fall, almost like you're dropping through a net to a lower layer, and you are all standing by the rock that Bastion remembers. In the area near his home? Or somewhere else? Would you tell them about it?
A kind of older looking man, skin tanned and ragged from long hard work, kind of settles down next to the stone, running fingers over the cracks in it from the damage that was dealt to it. Um, the words aren't really readable anymore, but he kind of settles himself down and closes his eyes and leans his head back against the stone and just starts talking quietly to the air, telling a story.
And y'all are back on Earth. Your bodies are much like they were before, but there's a vitality and energy that maybe wasn't there before. Something remains of that. Also, the parts that are changed by the graphs stay with you as you go back. That little part of humanity that you lost still clinging to your bodies. How does everyone else look in this realm?
I want to say Thistle, but it's not Thistle. Where Thistle is a person who's barely past being a child, maybe 12, 13 years old at most. He's lying flat on his back. He pushes himself over to his side and rolls himself up. And it's only when he does so that you realize that one of his pant legs is rolled up and pinned where he doesn't have a leg, and the other one hardly moves. And he just looks at his own body and leans over himself and begins to sob.
Eric, Jean looks up. Boy, it'll be okay. We'll go back there sometime. And leans his head back.
Well, and how are you in this realm?
Mellan sits against a tree, a very tall, lanky woman. I guess we're back for now, but never fear, we'll return. I'm sure of it.
As you speak, your tongue rasps a little bit at your lips. Rougher, heavier, but they don't see it. They just see your teeth and some shadow.
Eric Jean kind of looks at his right arm where the tan has kind of darkened and spread, like it's not quite black, but it's like he's been exposed to the sun on, like he's been driving a car or sitting next to a window for too long, and just the skin has grown darker melanin.
There's a kind of greenish glow to that bit of skin. Not like a dark or a disease, but almost like there's a slight glow, like if you had a thin bit of glow in the dark paint on your hand. You suspect using that hand for anything that had food preparation or reaching out to touch people would be very, very dangerous.
His life's unchanged.
And we'll stop there. If we do have an episode 2, we'll explore more of this world and homeland here before the next journey to the Hedge. I'd like to really thank the creators. We got Navi Musing in here and Drake and Dice that that are from San Antonio. They did the cool Kickstarter recently for one of their games that I'm waiting for it to come out. And well, I think it's out in like trial form. And anyway, so this was Hedge. It's on itch.io. You can find them on Twitter, and they have links to their products and stuff. They're fun. Um, so thanks to Reroll app for letting players use their art as backgrounds and stuff. Love that. And just like to thank everyone for tuning in and for coming and doing this game today. I think definitely we had some heart wrenching moments for everyone, but it was also a really wonderful session. And I love you guys as players. This was awesome.
That was a lot of fun. This is a really great game. If y'all will excuse me now, I have to go and sob uncontrollably for a few minutes and then have dinner.
Same.
So
Well,
when are we
I'm actually
playing
welling
again?
up.
We will discuss on Discord.
To everyone who has followed us, we said thank you in the chat, but let me say that out loud. Foregathers, thank you so much for the follow. Navi Musing, thank you so much for the follow. Drake and Dice, thank you so much for the follow. We really appreciate it, and y'all have gotten us this much closer to Zyziva having to break down and make some dice roller boxes for us to give away to our
I
followers.
think we're one follower away.
2. You
Oh,
have
no.
2.
Oh, 2. Okay. 2. Okay.
You got time. Hopefully this will be up on YouTube. I think that I can jump this to the front of the queue if no one minds. But yeah, no. My name's Gyrnos. I played Unbroken Bastion of the Elderwood, also known as James Eric. Or Eric James, sorry.
I'm Zyziva at Zyziva on Twitter. That's probably the best place to find me. And we'll be posting links later this week on how to find this supplement and how to find its creators. And if either of y'all want to put a Twitter handle, how to find y'all. Anyone have any goodbyes and statements they want to do?
Bye, thank you. That was so much fun. I really hope we get to play again. For sure.
We will. There's so much just creepy, unexplored phase stuff that we can do that I think we could definitely make some more sessions out of it. Oh, you're muted? Oh no, you're muted.
I feel the same. I really appreciate all the extra work you did, kind of looking up the Hedge lore, that's out there and what it brings. You really brought a lot of creativity to your GMing today, and I really had a good time. And I hope we get to do some more too. It was really good to kind of creatively think through what this two-part person would be like, and I've really enjoyed the opportunity to kind of expand on that today.
And
It's
I
fun.
think if we do expand next time, we're going to expand more in the real world first and let y'all
Okay.
see the after effects of all this stuff.
Mm.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Okay, so I am switching us over to the show over notes where it says the bonus